Okay, so again, welcome to tonight's Mass Bay RE Third Thursday program for March 20th, 2025. Tonight is a little different. It's a members' night featuring photos and perhaps videos presented by our meeting attendees. We're going to kick off the evening with one of Greg Guimond's programs, and then we'll go on to Doug Scott's trip down Route 66. After Doug, we'll drop in any program from the rest of you that become available before wrapping up the show and tell part of the evening with Greg's second presentation. So let the show begin. Greg, you're up.
Thank you, Dave. This trip was a makeup for a photo charter I was supposed to do with Pete back in 2016. Due to time constraints, I had to fly to Denver. However, I took the airport train to Union Station, and then I took the light rail to Littleton, which is where I was staying with my daughter. The RTD station at Littleton is the old Rio Grande station, although the trains now run behind the building and below. They used to be where the curb is now on the left. The old Santa Fe station is still also in Littleton. It's on the opposite side of the downtown, and it's now a restaurant. Every time I go to Denver, I try to get to the Colorado Railroad Museum. I'm very glad, as you can see on the photo to the left, they're starting to cover some of the older equipment, which was in tough shape. I was lucky this time out. I caught a departing local from the Coors plant. And then I went down to Chama, and I find Chama very much like Ely, Nevada. A lot of old railroad structures and equipment still exist. So on the first day, Pete had recommended that we travel very light due to the limited space because we were going to spend a lot of time on the trains and he only had limited room. And we had a larger than normal group for Pete for this trip. So I left my loom cubes at home and tried these two night shots with just my headlamp. We were supposed to have a night photo session as part of the trip. Later that morning, we started out at the old stock pens on the south side of Chama, and he did a number of run-bys at this location, so we were able to move around a lot to get different angles. And the sun weather-wise, it was perfect. After several run-bys at the livestock pens, the 489 waited at the Chama station. We all were to jump in our cars and drive up to the next location. That next location happened to be the superintendent's of the railroad's house, and it was the one location where the aspens were still in full fall color. At some of the locations Pete had picked, it required some brisk walks up steep hills in order to get the shots. Again, here, Pete's recommendation to travel light on the equipment, he had recommended only 2 lenses, so I brought my 20-200 and my wide angle lens with me. This was one of the few grade crossings where Pete stopped. There were a number of non-charter photographers that were chasing the trains, and they were waiting at all the grade crossings. So Pete had, for the most part, avoided those. Again, this was one that you needed a little climb to get to. At Cumbres Pass, we boarded the train to Osier for lunch and run-bys, and then we were going to come back to Cumbres Pass. And we're approaching Osier in this photo. It was a nice curve, so I was able to get the front end of the train. Lunchtime at the cafe, we had a number of Brits and Germans from the previous charter that ended the day before. They had all decided to stay on the extra 2 days. On the positive side, the larger charter group kept the cafe open and we had hot meals both days, which were nice because it was kind of cold. The drawback was that we would have very long photo lines, or in a number of locations where there were very little space, we had to have at least 3 run-bys. I had purchased a flat folding lightweight plastic one-step stool, and that worked out very well for the trip. This was one of those crowded run-by locations. The vistas on this railroad often made me feel like we were looking at a N-scale layout. And they had dropped the passenger train cars off for some of the photo run-bys.
Greg, how many people were there on this photo charter altogether?
72.
That's big for Pete.
That was very big for Pete.
That's twice the size, yeah. Now, this was the 26th and 27th?
Yes. So it was the end of the photo trips. He was doing a number of other trips in the area.
So you didn't go over that to Albuquerque for the 29, 26?
No, I had to get home. So
All right.
I
Because I
couldn't.
was there on the 29th for that shoot.
On the second day, had to wake up at 3:30 in the morning because we had to get in the boxcars by 5 a.m. And it was a tad cold out, so the doors were shut. There were little wooden bench seats in there and stuff. Again, it was about 32 degrees when we got to this location. And once again, we lucked out with the weather.
You were all in those boxcars, huh? Or did
Yeah.
you have?
Yes, we were in the boxcars. There was a lot of, I guess, slack, so we were bouncing around quite a bit every time we stopped and started.
And you couldn't see where you were going?
When it got a little warmer, we were allowed to open up the boxcar doors, and they had a little rail that they could pull across on the inside.
Fire protection?
I'm sorry, Doug, what?
That was the speeder was fire protection?
Yes. Yep. And we had a couple of medical issues on that afternoon. So we ended up having to do a lot of rescheduling, and the night photo shoot unfortunately was canceled because the train crew was already past its time.
Sure. Back in the beginning of November, actually the end of October, if you had heard me asking Greg, I went out for a Lerro one-day charter, for me anyway, with the Santa Fe 2926. And we took it out on the main line and then up to the station late in the evening. But most of the time was spent in the yard in South Albuquerque. And then the next day, I drove from Albuquerque out to La Posada in Winslow, where a friend from the Cape met me. And then we went and did the Grand Canyon Railway. And then on the way home, we stopped in several places coming back to Albuquerque. John took the train out and flew back, and we both flew back from Albuquerque. So we stopped in Flagstaff, we stopped at the Jackrabbit Trading Post and Holbrook along Route 66 and 40, and then took the cutoff from 6640 down through Los Lunas to Belen to photograph BNSF and the rail runner at Belen, New Mexico, and then went to our hotel that night and flew out the next day. It took us more than 24 hours to get home from Flagstaff thanks to a thunderstorm in Dallas, and everything was canceled getting out until the next morning. But that's another story, and probably if you've been in and out of Dallas, it may have happened to you as well. So what I'm going to do is present with music. So those of you who don't like music with your pictures, you can certainly turn the sound down, but we're going to stop in Flagstaff and end in Belen. If you're all ready, here we go.
If you ever plan to motor west, travel my way, take the highway, that's the best. Come on and get your kicks on Route 66. It winds from Chicago to LA, more than 2,000 miles all the way. Get your kicks on Route 66. Now you go through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, Oklahoma City's looking mighty pretty. You'll see Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona, don't forget Winona, Kingman, Boston, San Bernardino.
DAK photo charter.
So who's that?
Dak. I never had done anything with him before, but I saw it and I was like, you don't get the opportunity to get out a lot when I get down to Essex usually. So I figured it was worth trying.
Yeah, he's a younger guy that starting to do charters all over the country.
Okay.
So I got there early, again, hopefully to get some early morning shots. And we were running the Alco 282 class of 1920, I believe. And the first run by was in that field just west of the Falls River. Last time I was on a photo charter for Essex, it poured, and that was Pete's. But this time, again, we had good weather, especially in the morning. I did like the Nehaven caboose. Nice paint job. They did have a couple of older vehicles, a pickup truck and a car. And the second morning, when we were shooting south of the station, Essex, a gentleman drove by and said, if you guys are here in 10 minutes, I'll bring my car down. And he did. So maybe while we're down there in a couple of weeks, he'll bring his car out again. For both days, they went back to Essex for lunchtime. And would recommend, if you need food, calling Bun on the Run ahead of time. And it's just a short walk up Middlesex Ave. Very good sandwiches. And
I make a note of that.
So this is the gentleman who brought his car for a couple of run-bys. We did have a night photo shoot the end of the first night.
People want to know what the guy's car was.
Oh, I don't know what that car was. The other ones were both, one was a Ford and one was a Chevy. The car was a Ford and the pickup truck was a Chevrolet.
Tom Chase says that's a Packard.
That's a Packard? Okay.
I was thinking along the same lines. So thank you to you both, Doug and Greg. Great evening, great presentation. So at this time, I'm going to stop the recording.